Simple dessert recipes. Tips for finding the right recipe. Everyone loves a good dessert. Decadent chocolates, luscious fruits, supreme custards. However, making such succulent desserts can be a daunting task to the novice baker. Luckily for the cooking impaired, all is not lost. There are a great number of simple dessert recipes that not only produce beautiful and delicious desserts but are approachable even for those who may not be as familiar with their oven. The key is to look for the right kind of recipes. For these purposes, it is not so much important to consider the end product, but the cooking skill required to arrive there. So, when considering what recipe to use, keep the following guidelines in mind. 1. Ingredients. When picking a recipe, first look at the list of ingredients needed to complete the recipe. Some recipes have over 10 required ingredients while others may only have 5 or 6. Usually, the more ingredients used in a recipe, the more complex the recipe is to make. Additionally, recipes with long lists of ingredients will likely include some lesser known and more rarely used ingredients, which might require an extra trip to the store. Recipes with fewer ingredients are often easier to make because they have less steps to complete, though often the end result is just as delicious. 2. Preparation time. For inexperienced cooks, it might be advisable to look at how long it will take to complete the recipe. A large amount of prep time not only cuts into a busy day more, but it also suggests that a recipe is more complicated and therefore have more possibility for error. The preparation of a dessert is critical. One misstep can spell disaster for the end result. So keeping the preparation time to a minimum reduces that risk. It is important to remember that even simple dessert recipes can be the perfect treat. 3. Baking terminology. Look carefully at each step of the recipe. If there are words and terms that are unfamiliar, then this recipe may not be simple enough to consider. There are various methods of preparing foods that unskilled cooks may not be familiar with. Unless you are willing to put in extra time to research just what these terms mean, it may be wise to select a recipe with more basic steps. 4. Mixes. While making a dessert from scratch can be a gratifying experience, today there are a multitude of baking mixes that produce food that is just as yummy. The baking aisle of any supermarket will have a wide variety of mixes for cakes and brownies or even cookies and pies. To truly simplify baking a good dessert, try a mix. Most mixes will even have small recipes on the box to enhance the mix and create a more tasty treat. Simple dessert recipes. Tips for finding the right recipe. Everyone loves a good dessert. Decadent chocolates, luscious fruits, supreme custards. However, making such succulent desserts can be a daunting task to the novice baker. Luckily for the cooking impaired.